You're listening to the Doc Hardy Show on WPKN 89.5 FM. We're broadcasting from downtown Bridgeport, Connecticut. We serve the communities in Fairfield, Litchfield, and New Haven counties here in Connecticut, Suffolk County on New York's Long Island, and we stream around the world at WPKN.org. You can also find the radio station in apps like Radio Garden and TuneIn. In studio, I have an exciting interview with author, mentor, teacher, songwriter, singer. She's got a lot of things she can do. Melissa Kay Wallace. Melissa, how are you this morning?
I'm amazing, and I am so excited to be here. This has been I've been waiting for this.
So have I. So we met through my cousin Natasha Kinder Garcia, who's a prolific entertainer and trainer in her own right. She has a entertainment school down in the Atlanta area for over 20 years now. She knows credit. AIG, and so shout out to Natasha. But anyway, we had a conversation about an amazing book that you wrote.
Thank you.
You explained the book. It's called the Joseph Principle, which is based on the story of Joseph in the Bible.
Right.
And just a little bit you said about the book in that conversation, I was like, I got to have that book, which I now have in my hand. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to have you on the air to talk about the book, but also to talk about you have an event coming up in November. You do a lot of work with divorced women and widows. You're a widow yourself. I actually went to high school with my husband, late husband, Clint.
Wow.
So that was also an interesting connection. We didn't know that when we sat down.
I had no idea when we sat down.
That I was talking to Clint's wife. I was like, wow,
of 25 years.
Yeah, and I was at his.
And you were at his.
I was at his funeral services. I don't usually go. It was during the day.
Yeah.
And I worked in Stanford at the time. It was 8 years ago, right? And
it was pouring, raining.
Yeah, it was raining like today.
And the line was going around the building. He was an impactful man.
Yes, but something made me go. I'm like, I gotta go. So So the whole thing about our meeting is obviously by divine providence. So
very divine.
Here we are. So talk to us about the Joseph Principle. Why did you write it, and then what are some of the objectives that you had?
So the Joseph Principle it's a thin book and very short, but it took several years to write because I really was writing through my own pain. I wrote the Joseph Principle because I couldn't find a book that spoke to the subject the way that I needed. I wasn't reading what I needed to have. So when you can't find the book that you want to read, you write it. Okay. And that's exactly what happened. And after a lot of healing, a lot of self-reflection, I came to sit down to write the Joseph Principle because I figured if this was me and the Joseph Principle, Joseph is a type. He's not just a man. He's a type. A man or a woman can be a Joseph. Usually that's rejection. That is a person who operates in excellence and people around them really do not understand it and kind of try to, pull them down to whatever level they would prefer for them to be at. Mm-hmm. And you kind of internalize that, that kind of rejection. But the Joseph Principle, it freed me in writing it. And I knew that it would be impactful and free other people. And I just had no idea to the magnitude that it would do it. It's been really successful.
Now, it's interesting because the little piece you told us, you kind of showed how different characters in the story are types as well.
Yes.
And from the conversation, I remember the one that impacted me the most, because Joseph's always been one of my favorite Bible story characters. Joseph, Moses, and Peter are my three, because they're the most human people in the Bible, and
relatable.
They're relatable to me, and just kind of what I went through. So Reuben, Joseph's brother Reuben.
Yeah.
Talk about in your book the type of person that a Reuben is in relationship to a Joseph.
So, Joseph's brothers conspired together. They said, let's kill him.
Right.
And they really wanted to do away with him 100%. But Reuben was a little bit different. Reuben said, no, let's not kill him. Let's put him in this pit. And then with the hopes of later retrieve him. And I've had Reubens in my life, people who it was like, I know you have excellence and I know you're great. I'll call on you when I need you. I'd like for you to stay in this pit until I'm done shining, and when I'll come back and get you. And even the premise of putting Joseph in the pit, they decided to take off his colorful coat, which is the thing they hated the most, and to dip it in animal blood and bring it back to the father and say, oh, Joseph was killed. Joseph is dead. And I thought about that. People will take your excellence, they'll take your coat, and they'll dip it in the blood of accusation. They'll dip it in the lies, and they'll show it to everyone and say, look, see, this person's dead. There's nothing to them. They don't have any influence. And they're trying to kill the influence that you have. They can't kill you, but they're trying to kill the influence. A Reuben will come back and rescue you later so they can use you. I've had that, you know. It's painful to live through, but I'm glad that I was able to write it and it be impactful for someone else to read.
And it's interesting. I plan these shows loosely, but I have no idea what Pastor D is going to say when he does his wisdom moment. And he talked this morning about image.
Wow.
And how we all have to, be careful about our image, our branding. And he uses himself as an example. He's a pastor and a financial services person, but mainly as a pastor, there's certain things he's not going to do. He's not going to be on the streets running with women, but he's concerned with his image.
Right.
And just when you were talking about people wanting to taint your image to their own benefit, and those are Reubens, that really, really blew me away. And
take, for example, Mrs. Potiphar.
Right, that was another
Potiphar's
type.
Wife.
Right.
So when she accused Joseph, now Joseph was the most beloved person in Potiphar's household, and he gave him charge over every single thing that he said the only person greater in that household was Potiphar. And he completely trusted him. And so his wife, in trying to get with Joseph, and Joseph was like, no, I can't do that. I mean, the master of this home, he's given me like everything here. I couldn't touch his wife. I absolutely will not do that. And so much so until he ran away from her, and she once again grabbed the coat that he had on and dipped it in lies. There was no blood this time, but the blood was on his name because she assassinated his character. So what she did, when she couldn't get Joseph to do what she wanted him to do, she said that he did it, and she told people that he did it and said, see, here's his coat even, and she tore it. Here's his coat where, had to try to get away from him. And so since she couldn't assassinate him, she assassinated his character. And that's a lot of times what happens with people when they can't control you, because rejection is about control. The Joseph Principle is about rejection and control and manipulation. So that's all rejection is. It's control and manipulation. When you won't do what I want you to do, I will shun you and push you away, and I will look for your reaction. That's rejection. Right. And I'll look for your reaction, negative or positive. So when she couldn't control the narrative of what happened, she controlled how other people viewed him. And she, smudged his name and said, look what he did. Controlled how other people see you. People will do that. They can't control the situation, but they'll try to change the way people view you, which is also, it's also rejection, because it's the pushing away, it's the tearing down of your name and your character.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm Doc Hardy. I'm talking to Melissa Kay Wallace about her book, The Joseph Principle. And so I noticed I have the book. Now, you have a larger book.
I do.
Than what I have.
I do.
What is that you have?
So this is the Joseph Principle 2.0. It's remastered. It's got a new cover. And it's the same book. But the great thing about this one, it's done in an 8.5 by 11 format. So it's kind of like for book clubs, any group that would like to use it. What I've included now are study guide questions in regard to each chapter, so that you can really dive in. You can use this for a Bible study. You can use this for a book club. You can use this for a family gathering and get together and just talk about this. You can do this among friends, or you can purchase the book and answer the study guide questions yourself. And this book is going to be available on the website very soon. I'm not sure the exact date, but I'm hoping to get it out before the end of the year, because I really want people to dive into the new Joseph Principle. And there's also a Joseph Principle 2, a sequel that is coming.
Okay.
So
I look forward.
I'd like to come back to talk about that.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. So to get either of those books, go to MelissaKayWallace.com. Right. That is the website, MelissaKayWallace.com.
Melissa, K-A-Y, Wallace.com.
Right. K-A-Y, right. And you can get the books there and also learn more about some of the other things we're going to talk about after we take a musical break. So the fact that you have a book that is a workbook, it lends itself to workshops, seminars, and meetings, kind of is a nice segue into your life as a mentor, as a teacher, as a woman who works with divorced women and with widows. So let's take a little break and come back and we'll talk about your event coming up. It's November 18th, right?
Yes,
talk about what it is and what you intend to do there and why people should come. All right, I'm Doc Hardy, listening to The Doc Hardy Show on WPKN. Let's just take a few minutes of a break, a musical break, and we'll be back. Welcome back to The Doc Hardy Show on WPKN. We're in studio with author, life strategist, mentor, Melissa Kay Wallace. So we just talked about her book, The Joseph Principle. Now we're talking about an event she has coming up. The event is on November 18th, and the event is called When Two Become One. It's quite a powerful lineup of guest speakers I see here. I know some of these folks.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about this event.
So I'm so excited. This event is my baby. And it's coming up on November 18th. The event is called When Two Become One. That's usually a phrase that you hear when people get joined in marriage. Oh, the two become one flesh. And, you hear that when people become, get married. But I realized that in divorce and in widowhood, the two become one again. And so you have to start your life journey over as one. And anything that has been one, and when something is one and you cut it down the middle and you separate it, both are getting cut. There's no one's missing it. Both are getting it. The pain of divorce, the pain of separation in being a widow. I was married for 25 years. Actually, my husband passed away 6 days prior to our 25th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And you start your life journey over when you're no longer with a spouse. You start your life journey over when you're no longer with the person that you were married to, be it divorce, whether it was, you initiated or they initiated. And I find that divorcees and widows are a really marginalized group. People tend to judge the divorcee and they tend to forget about the widow. And it's the population of women. I found my niche as far as women are concerned. That is really that's my heart. That's where it is. Until I had to walk that road, I didn't understand it. But then once I went down and I saw all the different women, and the women that are coming and that are going to be talking at this event are in all different stages. Some are currently going through a divorce. They're going to talk about the hardships. Some have been through messy, nasty divorces, some amicable divorces. And they're going to talk about the healing journey that they are on or have been on and are still on. Then there's going to be widows that are going to come, and they're myself included. They're going to come and talk about what life has been like and their journey since being, separated in death. And it's going to be amazing. The event will be here, will be in Norwalk on November 18th. And it is a free event that I'm hosting. And I'd love for women of, all walks of life to come out and, talk about, and we're going to have an intimate conversation. We're going to sit down. We're going to be on a couch. We're going to just talk intimately about the struggles that they faced. And they're going to have some great examples of women who have done it and who have made it and who are making it. And just to know that they have strength and support in their community. And I'm also going to provide resources going forward, because it's one thing to come and open up. And then after you open up, you really need some resources to assist you afterwards. So There'll be a licensed clinician, and I'll have I'm planning on having handouts and things that people can carry away with them, websites that they can go to, all digital formats that they can access, just to keep them encouraged and to keep them going, to keep the healing, keep facilitating the healing.
Awesome. So some of the speakers I see you have on the website: LaToya Johnson, Crystal Daly, Melissa Langham, Darlene Cavanis, Gwen Prezi, and Pastor Lenore Jordan.
Yes.
Oh, I know. So a great lineup. Awesome. So again, the information for this event is on her Melissa Kay Wallace website. So you can go there. I assume the tickets are just so you know who's coming, and the number is free, right?
Yes, just so we can know. So you do have to register at Eventbrite, just so we have an accurate picture of who's coming, and we can have resources enough for everyone.
And if you're coming from out of town, there's a list of hotels on the website as well, right? So that's awesome. Well, that's a necessary thing.
It really is.
We don't really talk. They kind of pique my interest when you. But of course, again, when you're walking a path, you are more sensitive to the needs of people who are also walking that path. So I applaud you.
Thank you so much
for serving that community. Now, you mentioned, in addition to the book and the event, you also have a podcast.
I do.
So let's talk about podcasts. What's the name of the podcast?
The name of the podcast is The Nest with Melissa Kay.
Okay.
And the inference for The Nest is I've been a wife, a mom, the work mom. That's been my persona my whole entire life. I've always been a mother. Even as a kid, before I had children, I was a mother. In my neighborhood, my nickname was Mama Lissa. Okay. So it's always been there. And I find that when people come into my presence, I always say all the time, you don't meet me, you encounter me, you experience me. You never leave me the same way.
I would agree with that statement. It was an encounter. Our first meeting was an encounter.
You don't just meet me.
Yes.
You don't just say, oh yeah, I met Melissa. No, you experience me when you meet me. And so since I understand that, when I meet people, I always seek to leave people better than the way that I found them. So when you come away from my presence. So the premise for The Nest is when you come in and I can give you whatever information, whatever I can assist you with. I don't care. It doesn't always have to be something spiritual. It might be a life hack. It might be something with motherhood. It might be how to get stains out of clothes. It might be how to manage mortgage, life, career, work, all of those different things. You're going to find all of that on The Nest. I'll be talking about all different types of topics. The next episode is about empathy and about being an empath. And that episode will be releasing probably tomorrow. So pretty excited about that. Definitely go listen. The Nest with Melissa Kay.
What platform is that, and how do people access it?
And so that's on Apple, and you can find that on Spotify. Okay. And I think people will really get into The Nest. I've had a lot of support for it.
Well, awesome. Yeah, you're doing great work in our community. I can't wait to read The Joseph Principle. And I can't wait for the second piece of it, 2.0.
Yeah.
And definitely have you back on the program to talk about that. Again, if you're listening and you're interested in acquiring the book, The Joseph Principle, or in registering for her event on November 18th, When Two Become One, a seminar, a workshop, a session, if you will, intimate conversation for divorcees and widows. Please go to the website, melissakaywallace.com, and register. And, of course, seek out her podcast, The Nest, as well. Melissa, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Absolutely.
A rainy morning. Very easy to say, hey, I can't make it, but I'm glad you came. And we're definitely going to have you back, all right?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It is rainy, and that's okay. We're playing good music here on the Doc Hardy Show. Now, I already acknowledged birthdays of Ray Charles and John Coltrane. Their birthdays were both yesterday on the 23rd, but I got two more birthdays to talk about, and that's the birthdays of Walter and Wallace Scott of the Whispers. Their birthday was also yesterday, September 23rd. Both of them, of course, they're twins, if you don't know, and they turned 80 years old yesterday. I was like, you know what? There's a lot of good Whispers music that these guys produce. So for the last 30 minutes of the program, I'm going to play a little Whispers music, and we'll come back before we close out the show and talk about the rest of the day here on WPKN and the event tonight at the Park City Music Hall. I'm Doc. You're listening to the Doc Hardy Show on WPKN. Happy birthday, Walter and Wallace Scott.